Hi, folks. Jonathan Lee here, CEO and founder of Perfect SME, the company that owns and created ImplementERP.ai, the best project management tool on earth dedicated to ERP projects. Okay, today we're going to cover form trackers. Okay. What is a form tracker? It's a way to manage your tasks within context. Okay. In order to show the relevance of that, we're going to first bypass the dashboard. This is covered in another video, and jump into the processes page. Now, why do we do that? Because remember from the other videos, ultimately a system build out is a process build out, meaning you are ensuring that your processes are going to be supported by the system that you're implementing or optimizing, or the module that you are bolting onto your existing ERP system. So a quick summary, that means an important process like quote to cash, okay, which consists of many sub-processes, generating leads, managing your opportunities, doing some sort of CPQ, so a quoting process, and then on and on. There's other sub-processes within this quote to cash process, but underneath each of the sub-processes, we've identified which screens in your system need to be designed, built out, tested, and of course, trained to the end users so that when you go live, you can say the way the leads are generated and how that process is supported in the system. You are good to go. There will be no go live risk. Same thing with how you manage opportunities, how you do quoting and configuring of a product, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Which means you have to say my campaign screen has been designed, built, tested, trained, it's ready. Same thing with the leads form. Okay. Same thing with the opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Now, how do you deem that this screen, this form is ready? And that's the secret of a form tracker. So what the form tracker does is it's designed to collect all the information you need in managing the call it the completion of the form from beginning to end. So here's how it works. Let's say you are implementing Oracle NetSuite, okay? And the Oracle NetSuite has a screen called campaigns. Well, they use the word page, but that screen is shown to you, and you guys say, pretty close, but not quite ready. So rather than entering 20 or 50 tasks in a spreadsheet or a PM tool that looks like a spreadsheet, this is configured to track those tasks, create those tasks in a manner that is much more relevant to an ERP project. Okay? First of all, you designate who owns the build out, the finalization of that campaign screen, me. It gives you a quick idea of how you're doing from a status perspective. It reminds you what process and what sub-process the campaign screen supports. Then it tells you what key steps are done. So in other words, I could see that this screen has been reviewed, a design has been done and approved, the build has been done, it hasn't been tested, and it's not ready for cutover yet. Okay. It gives you some space to type in some notes, okay? And I've already put in some comments, okay? I'll replace it with something that's better, okay? I'll call it 90% ready out of the box. Small mods needed. Now, why does that help? Because whoever's looking at the status of the screen later on probably would benefit in knowing just how close it was from the time we started to review the form, so how it was from scratch out of the box. You can attach work instructions, scripts, pictures, what have you. If you need integrations from the data that's going to be used in the campaigns screen, really it's in a backend table, but that's a topic for another video. But if there are integrations that are needed, you list these here. You click add, another row pops up, and that's how you keep adding as many as you need. Hopefully you need none. If you have some other requirements like security, roles, profiles, workflows, this is where you add them. Okay. In fact, it already has a drop down for all the common areas that consist of additional requirements and shows some additional information when you click the information button. Okay. For now, I'm going to delete it because I don't have any for this screen. Okay. All right. So when I looked at this screen out of the box and I determined what needs were necessary, I marked this as complete. That means, hey team, I have reviewed as the owner of the form. I have reviewed it and I've identified what changes are needed. I've also identified and noted that there are in fact changes needed. So I didn't click the no changes box, which I can't do anyway because I put in a required enhancement. So obviously no changes couldn't make sense when I do have changes that are designated here. Okay. Is there a script necessary? And for those of you who don't know, scripts are basically instructions for end users to follow in learning the use of the screen, but also for reference, even way down the road, even after it's been a while, you might have some questions, unique scenario pops up. Because I'm making changes to the screen, that means I need to change some changes or modifications or additions to the original script. So I mark yes, okay? It's not started yet, and I have a due date. I'm late, so I'm going to change it to August. Let's say there was a good reason to do so. And if there are dependencies, so other forms, screens that have to be built out, before I can really build this one out, that's where I would note the dependencies here. Okay. Now, note this text add field, because why? When I designate that as a necessary change, later on, someone, typically a consultant, has to design that change, enter a comment. Okay. I have a task owner. Someone has to build that out. So when it gets built out, they mark completed. Okay. Same concept, all three of these. Test. Someone needs to test it. Who owns that task? What's the status? So all of these are items that can be changed. Okay. When these are all designated as completed, you'll note this bar up here that didn't show testing as being done now shows as being done. And finally, when it's time to make sure everyone's properly trained, and there's a series, okay? There's a series of training steps, usually not just one, okay? Actually, we'll just leave both in there. And then the conference pilot testing. This is where this form is tested in proper sequence against other screens, all supporting that giant quote to cash process. So only when that is done, okay, alongside the training, can you mark that the cutover readiness step is complete. So folks, I'm going to mark these as complete just so you see what it looks like here. Let's just add in one item, mark it as complete. Okay, folks, so with the cutover tasks being done in large part, we see that 80% of that piece, that phase, is complete. All right, let's summarize what we have in the form tracker. Again, it lists which screen, which page you are working on, the owner, the status, the process that it is serving, the sub-process that it's serving. Also allows you to put in a brief form description or just notes. You can attach a rendering, a design, a script. You note any integrations necessary, integrations pertaining to the data that is showing up on this screen, usually residing in a backend data table. Workflow, security, profiles, roles, any changes that are needed there are listed here. The changes to the form itself, the page itself, for example, changing the name of a field, adding a field, taking away a field, those kinds of things are noted here. That flows down to the follow-up. So if you need to add fields, then that need that was identified here in review or carried over to design, then it's built, then it's tested. And again, that brings us back down to the cutover preparation steps. So the tasks here are not a long, let's say, a list of items in rows and columns on a spreadsheet, which really doesn't tell you if you are working to enable and to make go live ready a process and all the sub-processes underneath. So by making sure that you're tracking those tasks within the context of each of these screens, that is the brilliance that allows you to know that the sub-process is being readied and then that quote is going to be ready. Thank you for listening. For more information, go to ImplementERP.ai. Again, Jonathan Lee.